Saturday headlines with Elliotte Friedman, who, as mentioned earlier tonight, broke the internet Friday. Has this been the wildest week in your career?
Yeah, up there.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Well, thank you for great reporting, Elliotte. It really was. And Kyle, too, when you went down to the Governors. Listen, this is Steve Fellon in the stats pack that was ahead of the Edmonton-Detroit game the other night. Was intriguing. They said the most Canadian-born points, the Oilers, the most American-born points on any team in the NHL. At that point was Detroit. We updated it last night. So if you're scouting for the Olympics and you want a Finn, you better watch Dallas, etc. The only spoiler in this whole board is the Oilers have 40 points by German-born players, and you guessed it, Leon Draisaitl has all 40 of those points. But that's a really interesting breakdown. John Cooper would not want to play the Edmonton Oilers because he said they always audition. So what's the story on Canada's pick?
You working New Year's Eve?
I'm not planning
you are
to,
now.
but now, okay,
you are
good.
now. So Team Canada, the reveal for the Team Canada Olympic roster, men's Olympic team, will be on December 31st, New Year's Eve. That's also the date that the picks are due to the International Olympic Committee, but it's going to be the revelation of Team Canada's roster, the 25 players, on December 31st, New Year's Eve.
What a great thing.
Now, you've been wondering about Connor Bedard, and Connor Bedard has been wowing everybody with his rise up the scoring stats and just his overall play this season. He's been fantastic. Now, Jeff Blashill said that Bedard was injured before the push here, and the Blackhawks are still collecting information on this. Nothing official in terms of clarity right now. I believe he had an MRI today. They're still determining what the plan's going to be. They go on a 3-game road trip next week, Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa, and unfortunately, he is not expected to travel at the beginning of it, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully not that serious. Like the hockey world took a collective groan when they saw that last night. Now, one other note, Philip Deneau is not going to play tonight for the LA Kings, but this is not trade-related. He's sick. So if you see tonight Deneau is a scratch, don't jump to any wild conclusions. It's an illness, and that's why he's not going to play.
You do address Deneau, though, on the podcast, talking about there's some speculation he's not happy with this role right now. Okay, Quinn Hughes, walk us through a little bit of all of it.
Yeah, so, one of the things that everybody kind of wondered about was what was the behind the scenes of this play. And there's been a lot of speculation, myself too, about, what Hughes said to the Canucks and when about the future. And also, the Canucks have openly speculated that Hughes would want to play with his brothers. So what did they know? And the best information I could get in the aftermath of this shocking trade, which Martin Geyer reminded me last night I never saw coming, that he informed them, I believe, right before U.S. Thanksgiving, like around that time, as the Canucks were losing, he was really having trouble dealing with it. If you're a Canucks fan, you saw it. If you're a Canuck watcher, you saw it. He was really struggling with the losing, and it was right around that time before U.S. Thanksgiving that the Canucks were informed he would not be signing an extension with them this summer. And that's when the Canucks really stepped things up. Now, there is no doubt, none at all, that a number of teams were really scared off or worried about the fact that Hughes would not provide a long-term commitment at this time. His agent, Pat Brisson, was quoted as saying that over the last 24 hours. I think there were two teams that weren't really afraid of that. Number one was Minnesota, because I think Bill Guerin's not afraid of anything. And the other one, I believe, was New Jersey, because I just think they felt they're in a really good position. New Jersey, they could not clear the cap room. And I think they've got some clauses there that were honestly and fairly negotiated that prevented them from doing what they needed to do to open up spots. And I think Minnesota just said, we're going for it. And they did. And, sometimes, Ron, you come out of these things and people say, oh, I could have given them a better offer, or Vancouver got a better deal. I'm not seeing that here at all. I know the Canucks fans are really disappointed. I understand it. I don't think in the circumstances they could have got a better deal than this one.
What about Stan Bowman? What was his thinking?
Okay, so obviously tonight we're watching Tristan Jarry make his debut, many of you, for Edmonton against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think it was pretty simple. Like, one of the things talking to some of the Oilers today is that, Stuart Skinner he was in a good streak, by the way, when he got traded. But the moment it went bad or he had a rough game or anything like that, all the old questions and concerns came up. And it was weighing on Skinner. It was weighing on the team. It was weighing on the organization. And I think everybody here felt it was just time. And I think ultimately Stuart Skinner would probably agree it was just time. Like, it was weighing on everybody too much. The thing that made Edmonton comfortable with Jarry is that he apparently behind the scenes made it very clear, Ron, that if he knew his time in Pittsburgh was getting tight and he made it clear he wanted to go to Edmonton. He has a place outside of Edmonton. He comes back there in the summer. He played junior there, and the Oilers did their research into him, and they felt they were comfortable with him because he's an Edmonton happy guy. The thing about Kulak is that I don't think they wanted to trade him, but they had to do it to make the money work, and that was kind of like the final step. But it was a big shocker. You could tell those players were surprised. I heard Skinner was woken up with the phone call yesterday that he was going to be traded, and the funniest story I heard today was from Adam Henrique. He said that Kulak, it was his responsibility on the road to make the dinner reservations. So the players were like, I know Kulak's been traded, but do we still ask him to make our reservations tonight in Toronto?
I knew I loved that guy. See, Kevin, he belongs on the Trident for that, if nothing else. Buffalo, is anything going to happen?
Yeah, so there was a report last night by Tim Graham and Matthew Fairburn that Buffalo is considering or has been discussing Kevin Adams' future. I don't have anything solid here, but I wanted to address it in the sense that there's a lot of noise. They finished their road trip on Sunday night, tomorrow night in Seattle, and we'll see what happens when Buffalo gets back. Well, there's a lot of noise there, but we'll see if there's anything concrete.
New Year's Eve, Team Canada selections for Milano. What an exciting prospect. Okay, thanks, Elliotte, as usual, for the Saturday headlines on Hockey Night in Canada.